Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are looking at a journey that really begins with this incredibly confident prediction, and, well, it ends in total moral chaos.
It really does.
We're following the doctor, Stephen and Dodo, to a new location. And according to the doctor's own calculations, which he makes a huge point of saying are incredibly accurate, this place was supposed to be a shining example of great advancement, peace, and prosperity.
A vacation spot, basically.
Exactly. This was meant to be the relaxing stop, a showcase of civilized perfection.
And this is where it gets interesting right from the start. The TARDIS lands in what's described as a great rocky ravine, silent, empty, bleak.
So the exact opposite.
The exact opposite. The contradiction isn't subtle, it's just this absolute instantaneous failure. And the doctor, of course, he rushes out with this instrument in his hand.
Right, which Stephen and Dodo immediately think is a weapon, by the way.
Yeah. They do. And he's just completely dismissing this desolate environment. He is so intellectually invested in the idea that his calculations are right that he literally cannot see the physical reality around him.
No.
The scrubland, the thorny trees, the big boulders.
I just love that detail. The hubris is so thick you can almost taste it. He's boasting that he can predict their location with such accuracy, but everything from the scanner to what's right outside the door is screaming that he's wrong.
And it's Stephen and Dodo who see the truth first.
Yes.
They spot the figure that just immediately shatters this whole idea of peaceful advancement. It's a creature described as powerful, dressed in animal skins, gripping a crude, vicious club, and he's just watching them with eyes full of fear and hate.
And this is Chow, one of the so-called savages.
That figure is the entire key. They haven't landed in a utopia. They've landed in a war zone defined by terror.
So our mission for this deep dive, it shifts immediately. We're not just observing some advanced civilization.
No, we're actively investigating a monumental deception. We have to try and reconcile how the doctor's projected high advancement can possibly coexist with this primitive violence in this desolate landscape.
What is the hidden mechanism?
Exactly. What is the compromised hidden mechanism that's operating here that links these two completely different worlds on the same planet? The doctor's initial certainty, his belief that they've arrived in a golden age, is just the perfect setup for the ugly reality they're about to uncover.
Okay, let's start unpacking that mechanism. We can begin with the two populations and just the shocking disparity between them.
The gulf is enormous.
So the first thing Stephen and Dodo see when they look out, they're confronted by these people who are just defined by poverty and fear, the savages. What specific details do we get about how they exist?
Well, they're entirely creatures of survival. They're dressed in these rough animal skins, and their entire existence is just driven by the need to find shelter and, more importantly, avoid being seen. Dodo points out their weapons are just crude clubs and spears, nothing advanced at all. And they use the geography, the rocky terrain, as ideal cover for anyone in hiding.
Which tells you everything.
It tells you their lives are spent hiding, not building. And their communication reflects that too. It's all whispering, operating on instinct, driven by this pervasive fear of being seen or heard.
And they have these warnings, right, about certain areas.
Constant warnings, especially about the terrifying, forbidden places they call the craters. Their whole existence is just one of constant grinding terror, completely dictated by the environment and the threat that they know is lurking just out of sight.
And then the city inhabitants arrive to collect the doctor, and that shift is just instantaneous.
Oh, it's night and day.
We meet Enel, who is the captain of the guard, and the Lieutenant Exors, and they are just the epitome of effortless superiority.
Exactly. They're well-built, they're assured, they're wearing these uniforms that just scream authority and order. And they carry what the source material describes very specifically as light guns of considerable power and sophistication.
So we're not talking about regular firearms here.
No, not at all. These are targeted energy weapons. They're capable of rendering a person limp, helpless in its rays. This technological gap is the first, most glaring piece of evidence of the power imbalance.
While one group has clubs, the other has these advanced paralysis weapons.
Right. While the savages are relying on brute strength and basic tools, the city relies on this clinical, effortless control.
But it's not just the technology that's advanced, is it? It's their intelligence gathering. They show this immediate, deep deference to the doctor. They know exactly who he is, the traveler from beyond time.
And that's the crucial detail that, elevates the city above just being simple brutes or tyrants. They confirm their advanced observational science. They say the elders have charted the TARDIS's course for many light years.
So they've been watching him.
for a very long time across vast interstellar distances. They have sophisticated astronomy, physics, all of it. And yet they maintain this primitive, terrified population right outside their immaculate city walls.
It's a stunning contradiction.
They understand the universe better than they understand or care about the people they share a planet with.
So the stage is set. The Doctor is ushered into the city, which itself is designed not just as a place to live, but as a deliberate piece of propaganda. The architecture itself is part of the lie.
It's a total performance of peace. It's built of this beautiful polished stone, almost like marble, and it's specifically designed to be pleasing and restful.
Right.
Every single aspect suggests light and gaiety, learning and laughter. It is the architectural manifestation of the Doctor's original failed prediction. It's a perfect utopia of aesthetics and order.
But as we're about to find out, it's a very sterile kind of beauty.
Completely sterile. It's beauty achieved through control, not through genuine, creative vitality.
And the elders, they really know how to play the game of flattery. The chief elder, Jano, meets the Doctor with a fanfare applause. And within moments, they're offering him the highest office in the land. High Elder.
Complete with splendid robes and an ornamented cap.
Yes. The whole ceremony is even compared to an old-world university, which deliberately connects their society to this historical pinnacle of learning.
It is manipulation of the highest order. They understand the Doctor's vanity, his passion for scientific excellence. By immediately offering him power and prestige, they're trying to co-opt his moral authority before he can start asking any difficult questions.
And for a moment it works. He admits he's flattered.
He is. And to really solidify this image of benevolence, they don't forget the companions. Stephen and Dodo get these precious, highly crafted gifts.
Dodo gets a small, beautifully engraved and bejeweled hand mirror, and Stephen receives a carved dagger, which is described as a real work of art.
And you have to see these as profoundly symbolic tokens. They signify that in the city, aesthetic perfection and personal adornment are valued above everything else.
They're distractions.
They're gifts designed to distract and appease, reinforcing this image of a wealthy, generous society. They are quite literally trying to buy the silence, or at least the approval, of the newcomers.
And this is where we see that split in the companions' reactions.
Yeah.
Stephen is just overwhelmed. He sees the fountains, the music, the sheer scale of the marvels, and he immediately declares it's a wonderful place.
He's seduced. He quickly aligns with the Doctor, convinced this is the pinnacle of the civilized mind. He's completely taken in by the superficial beauty.
But Dodo is our grounding force. She's the skeptic. She can't erase that image of the terrifying figure she saw with the spear.
No, the fear and the sheer violence that erupted just before the guards arrived. She whispers to Stephen that she thought the place was full of savages. Her intuition, her recent experience, it just overrides the city's impressive display.
She holds on to that uneasy truth.
She does. She refuses to let the marble walls and the expensive gifts blind her to the violence they clearly use. This dichotomy, Stephen the eager convert and Dodo the wary witness, it really sets up their roles in the investigation to come.
And that wariness is absolutely necessary because the perfection of the city is immediately revealed to be entirely manufactured and controlled.
It's an illusion, a very, very thin one.
So the city claims to have perfected existence. Avon, who is one of the young attendants, is proudly walking Stephen through their infrastructure, and he's boasting about their synthetic, life-giving sun.
And he makes this claim that their existence is so advanced that a man's intellect that decides the heat and cold of our lives.
So total mastery over nature.
Total mastery. And they promise this universal opportunity that everyone has a chance to fulfill himself. It sounds like the promise of a sterile, predictable paradise.
But that predictability, it comes at a huge cost. And we see the first crack in this facade, not through anger, but through yearning.
Yes, from Flower, another attendant. She admits she wishes she knew what real rain, real wind, real sunshine are like. And this is so crucial.
It is.
It reveals that the city dwellers exist in this profoundly insulated, almost claustrophobic reality. They have controlled their world so completely that they have sacrificed all connection to natural vitality, to complexity. Their lives, beneath the surface of learning and laughter, are fundamentally stunted and artificial.
So when Stephen, who's always the pragmatist, asks what the secret is, what's the one discovery that allowed this leap forward, the conversation just slams shut.
It does. Avon gets really vague. He refers to scientists finding a way to give them greater energy, greater intellect, and greater potential. But he refuses to say anything more.
He defers.
He defers to the elders and your doctor. And that immediate wall of secrecy just confirms everything Dodo suspected. The foundation of this civilization is built on something they cannot bear to discuss in polite company.
Secrecy in its supposed utopia is always a sign of deep moral rot.
Always. And the doctor, newly appointed High Elder, he recognizes this instantly. He refuses the honors, he refuses the robes until he understands the how.
He insists, right? He says, I must endorse your way of life. I'd like to know how.
He refuses to just accept the facade. He needs to know the mechanism.
And Jano, the chief elder, recognizing he can't evade the question from someone he sees as an intellectual equal, he chooses his words with excruciating care for this great reveal.
He does. He starts by trying to frame their breakthrough as just a simple, natural law life, feeding on life, and only then does he reveal the actual mechanism.
He drops the phrase. They have learned how to transfer the energy of life, the basic essence, to ourselves.
And he says we can tap it in its purest form. We can recharge ourselves with life's vital force. He tries so hard to make it sound like bioengineering, not, consumption.
But when he shows the doctor the physical reality, the model, it confirms the mechanical brutality of it all.
Absolutely. It's described as a scientific layout of vats, pipes, dials, and instruments. And it's used to store this accumulated energy in power vats, which he compares to an old-fashioned battery.
Let's just linger on that word. Accumulated.
Yeah.
That implies a source that is constantly being harvested.
Constantly. And Jano then clarifies the ethical line they have just violently crossed. He admits that to develop intellectual or artistic genius, the very qualities they use to justify their superiority, they must absorb a very special form of animal vitality.
They're not just taking electricity.
No, they are stealing the raw, complex, spiritual energy of life itself just to boost their own elite intellects. This elevates the crime from, say, mere slavery to soul theft.
It's horrifying.
They aren't just making the savages work. They are fundamentally draining their capacity for life and complex thought so that the city dwellers can write poetry and discuss philosophy.
And this is exactly when Dodo, our witness, provides the unarguable human evidence. She had been suspicious ever since she saw Exos walking that girl, Nanina, toward a fortified door.
And she saw Nanina moving like a marionette, controlled by the specific beam of his light gun, which confirms this control isn't just physical, it's psychological and tactical.
Dodo acts on instinct. She manages to slip into this newly opened corridor, K0.4, which leads her directly to the scientific control laboratory.
And this room is massive. It's industrial. It's horrifying. It's the real-world, full-scale replica of the model Jano had just shown the doctor.
And she meets Dr. Senta.
Dr. Senta, the scientist in charge. And he is utterly efficient, sharp-featured, and completely detached from any moral implications of his work. He is pure function.
What she witnesses next is just the brutal clinical logistics of their utopia. First, she sees this man, Wilda, who is only recorded as number 4708, being released after his energy transference.
We really need to focus on Wilda's state here. Senta reads his vitality, 17.4, and he notes very clinically that this is dangerously low. Wilda is described as feebly staggering. He's groping like a blind man. He has been drained so thoroughly he can barely perceive the world, and he collapses just outside the door before being taken away by Chell and Tor.
So the city is deliberately leaving these drained husks just outside their walls.
Casting them aside, making them into the primitive, staggering figures that the doctor dismissed earlier as just, undeveloped.
The mechanism is cold, calculated torture. And then Dodo witnesses the preparation of Nanina, listed impersonally as number A47.
Nanina is strapped into a cubicle, connected via these energy absorbers, ready for the process.
And she pleads, doesn't she?
Her silent plea is just heart-wrenching. She manages to whisper, please, please, before the process starts. And Senta, he doesn't even respond. He flips a switch, entirely focused on the dials, not the human suffering in front of him.
Dodo realizes the truth. The city's progress isn't built on genius.
It's built on a vast, systematic machine designed for protracted murder. The vitality is drained directly from the brain and the body, leading to intellectual and physical collapse.
This accidental witnessing provides the moral certainty the doctor needs. When he finds the collapsed Wilda, Dodo's story is confirmed. The scientific explanation clicks into this monstrous moral reality.
He recognizes immediately that the city's peace and intellect are based on this. The savages are used as fodder. Their essence is periodically drained into the vats, bringing them very close to death. The whole civilization is powered by the living dead.
And that detail of it being periodic is essential, isn't it?
Oh, it's the most chilling part. They don't kill the victims outright because they need them to recover, just slightly, just enough to be used again. It ensures a renewable resource. It's not just exploitation. It is meticulous, sustained consumption designed for maximum efficiency.
So the revelation just transforms the situation instantly. It's no longer an intellectual debate. It's a life or death moral conflict.
The gloves are off.
The doctor is absolutely outraged. He confronts Jano, rejecting all their claims of civilization. His words are harsh, they're absolute. This is protracted murder.
And he insists they are men, like you and me.
But Jano, who's been blinded by years of privilege and the rationalizations of his society, he just can't comprehend this viewpoint. He dismisses the victims.
He argues they are hardly people. He classifies them as subhuman. He insists the sacrifice of a few wretched barbarians is a necessary price for maintaining their superior, great artistic and scientific civilization.
He sees them as an externality.
A necessary externality for greatness, yes.
The doctor then delivers the ultimate moral condemnation. He says, the sacrifice of even one poor soul would be too great for all the triumphs of your sort of civilization.
And that unwavering defiance is what seals his fate.
Edel, the captain of the guard, trains the light gun on him, and when the doctor tries to protect Wilda and refuses to submit, Edel fires.
And the doctor is rendered limp, helpless in its rays. The intellectual challenger is now just another piece of material to be processed by the system.
At this point, Stephen and Dodo show incredible initiative. Stephen immediately sends Dodo back to the TARDIS for these D403 capsules.
Which is a potent medicine designed for severe physical depletion. It's exactly what Wilda needs.
But the savages stop Stephen at first, right? They're
What?
terrified he's just another city man.
They are, but the partially recovered Wilda speaks up, and this is a critical moment. He gives his testimony. The old man spoke against the city ways. They have taken him a prisoner.
And that one statement changes everything.
It earns Stephen and Dodo the trust of the savages. It proves they are allied against the city.
But the elders, they don't see the doctor as just a prisoner. They see him as a unique opportunity and an immediate danger.
Yes, Jano is convinced the doctor will condemn this great artistic and scientific civilization to the rest of the universe, so he orders him taken to Senta for emergency transference.
This is where their scientific hubris really reaches its peak. Senta is genuinely terrified. He protests. He says, we cannot transfer such a high form of life energy as this. It's never been done.
The doctor's intellectual vitality is so complex and powerful, so high grade, that transferring it poses an extreme scientific risk to their whole system.
But Jeno, he's obsessed with the idea of absorbing the ultimate intellect.
He overrides Senta completely. He sees the danger, but he insists, this time it will be done. It will be an interesting experiment for you, Senta.
Just chilling. So the doctor's strapped down, fully conscious of what's about to happen. Senta uses a specific channel, A11, specifying the extraction of the top rarefied quality of his intellectual vitality.
And Senta even notes the doctor's tremendous strength, that it's making the machine strain. The resistance is overwhelming, but the machine wins.
The doctor is left prone, white, almost lifeless.
They've successfully stolen the intellectual essence of a Time Lord.
But Jano doesn't stop there. In an ultimate act of scientific greed, he decides to take the entire intransference himself.
He tells Senta there will be only one recipient. And this just shocks the doctor, who fears the completely unknown consequences of absorbing such a powerful, complex life force.
Jano is seeking the ultimate genius boost, and he's willing to risk everything for it.
Everything.
The aftermath is immediate and profoundly disorienting for him. He emerges, and he's displaying this forced, confused integration of the doctor's character. He starts speaking with the doctor's own phrasing.
Mimicking his tone, his specific words. What's all the fuss about? The trouble with you people on this planet is that you find it hard to understand.
He's suffering this deep, involuntary personality crisis. He can't reconcile his thoughts. Jeno, the doctor, what am I to do?
This forced transformation is the moral pivot point of the entire narrative. The doctor, when he recovers slightly, explains the incredible unintended consequence of Jano's theft.
It wasn't just intellect he absorbed.
Not at all. Jano absorbed the doctor's vast intellectual capacity, his knowledge of time and space, but he also got something he hadn't bargained for at all. A sense of right and wrong, a little conscience, a sense of values, of justice, humanity, one might almost say wisdom.
It is the ultimate karmic irony.
It's perfect. The city sought intellectual advancement through immoral theft, and in doing so, they accidentally injected a fatal dose of morality right into their leadership.
They were terrified the doctor would expose their moral corruption, so they stole his essence to boost their knowledge.
Only to discover that morality was an inherent and unavoidable component of that superior essence. The city engineered its own downfall by trying to steal wisdom rather than earning it.
So while Jano is having this profound moral crisis, Stephen and Dodo are still on the run. They're trying to survive in the tunnels.
Right, and Stephen is now allied with the savages, Chow and Tor, and he has to find a way to neutralize the city guards who are hunting them relentlessly with those powerful light guns.
This really is Stephen's finest hour of strategic brilliance. He moves from being, the enthusiastic observer to the calculating tactician.
He gathers a crucial piece of operational intelligence from Chow. The paralyzing light beam reflects off water.
And what does he use to weaponize this detail?
The beautifully engraved, bejeweled hand mirror given to Dodo at the city welcome.
That is just the ultimate symbolic moment. He takes the very object that was designed to represent the city's manipulative vanity, its superficial obsession with aesthetics,
and he uses it as a tool of rebellion against their tyranny. The mirror, meant for looking inward at one's own artificial perfection, is used to reflect the city's destructive power right back at itself.
He sets a masterful trap in the narrow tunnels.
He does. When Exors, the lieutenant, corners them and shines his powerful light gun, Stephen just rapidly jerks the mirror out, reflecting the beam back on him.
And it works.
The reflection of that high-energy beam is powerful enough to instantly stun Exors, causing him to drop the weapon. Stephen immediately seizes the gun and immobilizes Exors with his own technology.
The hunter becomes the hunted.
It's a clean, elegant victory. It proves that thoughtful, ethical intelligence will always trump brute, clinical power.
And the fear the savages had of Stephen just vanishes instantly. Chow calls the capture of a city guard impossible.
Tor even briefly wonders if Stephen is some kind of deity. Stephen has demonstrated, through action, that the city's technology is not invincible and that its power can be turned against it.
This tactical win then sets the stage for Jano's calculated strategic move.
Right. Having absorbed the doctor's conscience, Jano knows that a straight-up fight isn't going to work. He has to secure control internally to destroy the mechanism itself. So he appears to recover quickly and returns to the city, orchestrating this brilliant deception.
He drives the entire group, the recovering doctor, Stephen, Dodo, Chow, and the other savages, before him, playing the role of the ruthless elder driving prisoners back to the city.
It's pure theater. He expertly uses the captured light gun as a whip to command absolute authority. He demands explanations from Captain Edel and then promptly has him arrested. This display convinces everyone, especially Edel and Senta, that Jano is still the same cold, controlling leader.
And the plan culminates in the laboratory, the very heart of the city's evil.
Yes. Jano herds all the elders and the scientific leaders into the room and then locks them in. And then he reveals his true purpose, just utterly shattering their sense of control, to destroy the mechanism that gives us this power in such an evil fashion.
He insists that as the former leaders, they have to be the ones to take the lead in smashing the instruments of their own oppression.
And this detail is so critical. Forcing the oppressors to physically destroy their own source of power ensures that the responsibility for dismantling the old system rests with those who built it.
The destruction is immediate. Jano shatters the control panel, releasing vapor. The prisoners, including Stephen and Anina, grab instruments and join the chaos, smashing the equipment and the massive power vats.
But the real moment of societal conversion, I think, happens right outside. Exors, the guard, was at the door listening to Senta's desperate pleas to save the city.
And he sees Nina.
And she is now wielding this rod of metal, striking the machine that nearly killed her, and the joy of her liberation is just radiating from her.
He's transfixed.
Completely. He realizes the system he upheld was founded on the suppression of life and happiness. And he joins her. He uses the butt of his own light gun, the symbol of their tyranny, to smash the machine next to her. It's a profound, immediate, and permanent shift in loyalty.
The destruction is complete. The lab is a wreck ankle-deep in scientific litter. The Elder's power is gone.
And Jano, speaking now with the clear moral compass of the Doctor's influence, announces the need to build a world for everyone and find a unifying leader, a mediator, someone who can bridge the gap between the savages and the former city dwellers.
And the choice is unanimous.
It is. Jano, speaking for the now subdued city hierarchy, and Sal, speaking for the newly liberated savages, They both agree that Stephen is the only person who can do this monumental task.
He's an outsider who's proven himself.
Just proven his intelligence, his technical skill, his willingness to fight, and most importantly, his deep moral commitment to both groups.
Stephen, being a loyal companion, he initially protests. He says, "I can't just walk out on you, Doctor."
Of course, but the Doctor recognizes this is Stephen's destiny. This is his true calling. The Doctor assures him, think what a challenge it would be. You're the only one who could put it together.
And Stephen accepts. He accepts this immense role, choosing to dedicate his life to forging a new, equitable civilization from the ruins of exploitation. It's a profound sacrifice, leaving the TARDIS for the heavy burden of leadership.
Stephen's decision is the final stamp on this new foundation. He's seen heading off to the conference chamber with Jano, Chal, and the others, ready to begin the long, difficult process of rebuilding, while Dodo and the Doctor have to continue their journey, leaving that civilization in the hands of its reluctant savior.
What an incredible analysis of power and corruption. We started with the Doctor's failed utopian prediction, and we ended by discovering a civilization fueled by what he called protracted murder, masked by marble and artistic culture.
And that entire power structure was dismantled only through the incredible involuntary act of Jano absorbing the Doctor's conscience. It wasn't a choice, it was an accident.
And the foundation of peace is now, well, it's precariously reliant on the character of Stephen the Mediator. It brings us back to the Doctor's final, profoundly insightful words to Jano, reflecting on that painful process of transformation.
He says, perhaps next time you feel the need for some of that wisdom, you will allow me to give it to you of my own free will, and you won't put me in an oven to try to steam it out of me.
That quote just perfectly encapsulates the importance of consent and natural moral development over forced advancement. The city tried to bypass the hard work of achieving morality through theft and exploitation.
They stole their way to great intellect, but they only earned morality when the Doctor's sense of right and wrong was physically injected into their leader.
The key takeaway here seems to be the fragility of this new beginning. The Doctor's wisdom was involuntary, a flash flood of morality into a sterile environment.
And Stephen's task is not just political, it's philosophical. He has to teach a society that has only ever known control and consumption how to truly earn their progress and their morality.
And this raises a provocative thought for you, our listener, to consider as you reflect on this deep dive. If a civilization's moral foundation is only established by literally absorbing the conscience of a traveler, can that foundation truly last?
Or is Stephen's role as the reluctant human leader, the person of action and high moral conviction, the only thing preventing a slide back into exploitation once the Doctor's borrowed wisdom fades?
As the Doctor notes to Dodo when she asks if they will ever see Stephen again, in this strange complex of time and space, anything is possible. Stephen's future, and the future of that fragile new civilization, hangs entirely on his ability to maintain the vision of true earned peace.